So, something huge is happening in Nigeria. The country is in the middle of its biggest tax overhaul in, well, a generation. A massive package of reforms got signed into law in June 2024, and it's set to completely change the game for businesses and for you starting in 2025. This isn't just a small adjustment, it's a total reset, and we're going to dive into what it all means.
So you might be asking, why do this? Why rewrite everything now? Well, it really boils down to two big things. First, Nigeria needs more fiscal space, which is just a fancy way of saying it needs more breathing room in the national budget. And second, it's about finally moving away from relying so much on the crazy up and down world of oil prices. It's all about building a stronger, more predictable foundation for the economy.
All right, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to walk through this great tax reset, starting with the old system, because you have to see the mess to understand why they cleaned it up. Then we'll get into the good stuff, the big wins for businesses, and what it all means for your paycheck. We'll even meet the new agency in charge, the NRS, and wrap it all up by looking at the ultimate goal, firing up Nigeria's economic engine. Okay, so to really get why this is such a big deal, we have to look at the problem they were trying to solve. The old tax system, it wasn't just complicated, it was a maze. It was totally inefficient and was seriously holding back the economy from really taking off.
And this slide, this just lays out the chaos perfectly. Taiwo Oyedele, the guy who led these reforms, pointed out this incredible fact. On paper, there were 63 official taxes, but in reality, businesses were getting hit with over 200 different kinds of fees and levies. Can you even imagine trying to run a business in that environment? It was a system that basically stifled growth.
So how in the world do you fix a mess like that? Well, the answer is to be bold and go for radical simplification. The main goal here was to take that tangled web of laws and turn it into something clear, simple, and that actually makes sense. Think about it like decluttering a really messy house. Before, you had more than a dozen different rule books, and a lot of them actually contradicted each other. It was just pure confusion. These reforms basically sweep all of that away and replace it with just 4 unified laws. All of a sudden, everybody's playing by the same clear set of rules. And here they are, the 4 brand new pillars of the tax system. Together, they cover the whole shebang: what's taxed, how taxes are managed, who's collecting the money, and how you sort out any problems. For the very first time, it's all under one logical roof, which creates a level of predictability that just wasn't there before. Okay, so what does all this cleanup actually mean for businesses on the ground? This is where things get really exciting, especially for the small and medium-sized businesses that are, the real engine of Nigeria's economy. First up, the big one for larger companies. The main corporate income tax rate is getting a trim. It's coming down from 30% to a much more competitive 25%.
But here's where it gets really interesting, especially for those smaller guys. There's a new magic number. If your company's annual turnover is 100 million naira or less, you now get put into a very special category.
And boom, this is the big one. For all those small businesses making under 100 million naira a year, the new company income tax rate is 0. That's right, a big fat 0%. This is a massive incentive designed to just pour fuel on the fire of the SME sector.
And you got to understand, this isn't just about giving a tax break. It's a really smart strategic move. By taking away that tax burden, the government is basically saying, hey, come out of the shadows, become a formal company. And when you do that, you have to get organized, keep proper records, and that makes you way more attractive to banks for loans and to investors. It helps you grow. Okay, we've talked business, but what about you? What about your personal paycheck? Let's break down how this great reset is going to affect the taxes that come out of your salary.
So here they are, the new personal income tax brackets, and they'll kick in on January 1st, 2026. Now, the biggest news is right there on that first line. If you earn up to 800,000 naira a year, you are now completely exempt from income tax. That is a huge deal for minimum wage earners. After that, the system is progressive, meaning the more you earn, the higher percentage you contribute. So the bottom line is pretty clear. This new setup gives a lot of relief to people at the lower end of the income ladder. It creates a fairer structure where those who earn more will contribute a larger share. Now, you can have all the new rules in the world, but somebody's got to enforce them, right? To make all this work, the reforms are bringing in a brand new, much more powerful tax agency to run the whole show. Everybody, meet the Nigeria Revenue Service, or the NRS. And let's be super clear here. This isn't just slapping a new name on the old FIRS. Nope. The NRS has a much bigger job. It's now responsible for collecting all government revenue, not just federal taxes. The idea is that by putting everything under one roof, you make the whole system way more efficient and stop money from slipping through the cracks.
Okay, so let's pull back for a second. We've got a simpler system, lower taxes for small businesses, a new central authority. What's the end game here? It all comes down to one thing: creating real, lasting economic growth.
These right here are the long-term goals. If you make the tax system simpler and more predictable, you're going to attract more investment from both inside and outside Nigeria. That investment helps grow the formal economy, which creates more jobs. And all of that, in turn, generates more revenue to pay for better schools, roads, and hospitals for everyone.
And this quote from Taiwo Oyedele just sums up the whole philosophy perfectly. It's a total shift in thinking. Instead of just trying to squeeze more money out of the economy as it is, the focus is now on creating the right conditions for the economy itself to get bigger. Let the economy grow, and the tax revenue will naturally follow.
So when you look at this, you start to see it's not just about changing a few laws. This is a fundamental change in economic strategy. It's a move from chaos to clarity, from punishing small businesses to actually empowering them. This is a complete redesign of Nigeria's financial system, and pretty much everyone is going to feel the effects.
And all of this brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? The plan is there, the new laws are on the books, the vision is crystal clear. But like any big, ambitious plan, the real challenge is always in the execution. So, will these reforms be implemented well enough to truly transform Nigeria's economy? That's the big question that everything else hinges on.